Hi, welcome to Room to Grieve Podcast. We're your hosts, Karen and Bec. Grab yourself a cuppa, find a comfortable spot, and we'll journey through grief together.
Good afternoon.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. We've been very naughty today. We're actually recording in our lunch break.
I know. Trying to be a little bit more, what's the word? Oh God, we're going to start off with that, aren't we? With the whole grief brain. Efficient.
Right.
Yeah, just wish my brain was as efficient with words.
We've also decided not to talk for as long, haven't we?
We're going to try.
Yeah, we're going to try our best to condense it a little bit.
Yeah.
So we don't bore you for hours and hours every week. That's
what I mean. Give your ears a break. I'm going to try not to cry and not to be miserable. So over to you, really. What are we going to talk about today?
I want to talk about anniversaries, but when it's not an anniversary. Because I think like when it's an anniversary, it's an excuse to talk about them. And that does bring a little bit of comfort.
Yeah.
But when you're further down the line, it must get really difficult when there isn't an anniversary there. So people think that you're not missing them as much, but it's actually worse.
I don't think it's that people think you're not missing them as much. I think people just forget that you're missing them.
Yeah.
You know? Because
people do forget.
And that's understandable. And I think that they get prompted when there's anniversaries and special days to think, oh God, they're going to be missing the kids, or can you imagine what it's like for them without the kids? But when there's that state of normality where there isn't anything, then you do kind of fall away from people's memories a little bit, because they have, the sort of pleasure of being able to, the naivety of being able to forget, whereas we don't. So it becomes a lot harder to say to somebody, I'm having a really shit day today, because you can't link it to anything. And it just comes back to that. The longer you're in this, the less it becomes easier to talk about it with other people, because you kind of feel like, oh God, I'm going on again. They must be so bored of me just being about how sad I am and my grief. And I am consciously aware of that.
Yeah, but I think that's why we sort of like are connected with other people that are in the same position, because you don't feel like that with them.
Yeah.
I mean, like there's people that post quite often about their children, and my point exactly is like a Gorgeous George. I put my thing on, and he was there on my feed, and his gorgeous smile, and I know he's died, but it just made me smile by seeing his face, because I think, there's somebody there that we can share with. Within this community, and I think that's why these communities are so important.
Definitely. There's a lady I follow called Ellie, and her page is a Jelly Diary, and her page was started originally. Ellie and her husband Jamie went through IVF, and then they had 2 little children, Billy and Maddie. And Billy sadly died a year ago this weekend, actually, from DIPG, the same as Bradley and Emily. But Ellie is very articulate with her words and what she posts, as much as a lot of days they make me sit there and they make me cry, but it's because they resonate with me. And, I really do some days just appreciate, and I think, God, you're able to articulate what is going on in here that I've never been able to say out loud. And sometimes I just find great comfort in that, that's what I'm trying to say. That's what I feel. You get it.
Yeah.
And it's just nice to have that, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It is nice. Somebody just gets it. And
I mean, it's so super sad that they're in the same position, and that they get it, and that they know it. And I don't mean it's nice in that respect, obviously, but there's just so many intricacies to grief that you don't think about when you're not in it.
Yeah. I mean, I was speaking to my friend Lynn, and Lynn lost her mum a few years ago. And, long time before Emily was poorly and everything. And I just said to her, Mother's Day was coming up. And I just said, I know Mother's Day will be hard, but I said, you won't miss your mum any more on that day. And she went, no, I won't. She said, there's only you that said that. And I was just thinking about it. And that's how my mind worked then. And it still works the same now. And I actually remember something she told me, because she said there's some days that it does hit her. And she's a really strong person. She's not. I'm not saying that you're not strong if you don't, if you suffer more, but she has a way.
She's just resilient.
She is. She's just like, if I have a problem, I'll go to Lynn with it, so she'll deal with it.
Yeah.
And she just said to me, there was one particular day, she always went for a walk with her dog, and her mum went for a walk with hers. And this one, when they did a particular walk, they would meet up at this place. And she said the first time she did that walk, she sort of did it without thinking and got to that place, and that broke her.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And it didn't matter that it was Mother's Day and death anniversary, Mum's birthday, or anything like that. When that hit on that day at that place, it was just a memory that came and floored her. And that's the thing, you don't need anniversaries to be flawed for it to come from nowhere.
No.
That's what I think some people that aren't grieving don't understand.
Yeah, totally. And, there's just so much about it that I didn't understand before I was here. When we say people who aren't grieving, I was that person once. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with people not understanding, because I did exactly the same as what they did. I didn't understand it. And, until you come to know it, you sadly don't get it. And that's why for us, there's such an importance on increasing awareness around grief education and things.
Yes.
We've spoke about that because, I truly believe that in changing the way that we understand grief and that we respond to grief will change the way that people are able to grieve.
Yeah, exactly.
Being able to grieve.
There's only us and people in our position that can do that.
Yeah.
That can get it out there and to explain what we're feeling and how we feel. And that's once that's been done and we all start talking and we all start explaining, we can get the point across, and people that do want to help, we can help them help us.
It's unique to everybody, so then explaining that is very difficult, but there are commonalities, and there are things like, we said on the last podcast that we did in this whole health anxiety thing that I've got, and the whole way that I'm responding to emotionally overeating and you're emotionally undereating, and, what we're experiencing might not be exactly the same, but it all comes from the same sort of place, doesn't it? And so that is something that we're able to teach people to maybe have a little bit more of an understanding. And that, I thought grief was just, I genuinely, like when I said to you about those waves, I still thought that those waves would be lighter. Even
It'd start off big, and as there was coming in and out of the waves, as the months and years go by, the waves will be shallower and easier to tread water.
But no. Even the naivety and the stupidity in me, even in this situation, I still thought that, and it still takes me off guard a little bit, that it's like, oh blimey, that's not the case.
Yeah. So we're learning all the time, aren't we?
Yeah, and when
sadly, it's not always lessons we want to learn.
No, and I'm going to say, when you're in the midst of grief and it's really hard and it's really difficult and it's really overwhelming, being able to see that and learn that is also very difficult. And that, it's a word that we use all the time, and it's that confusing complexity of grief. When you don't have the brain capacity to be able to understand and deal with that confusion and that complexity is so difficult, because you don't have the capability of being able to reason with it and and help yourself through it. And it just becomes a really lonely, isolating pace. And when people aren't recognizing that, because you haven't got the special dates, because you haven't got those anniversaries and those triggers and those reminders for people outside of your world, it becomes really difficult to highlight that to others all of the time, doesn't it?
It's also, we isolate we isolate ourselves, which we know we do that. We isolate from friends, from doing things that we used to do, but people let us isolate.
But again, it's not intentional, is it? They just don't realise.
Sometimes I think it is, yeah.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Because it's easier for them, because it's hard.
Easier. I'd probably too, eh?
Would you?
Think back before, I think, oh yeah, we'll leave her. she'll bring the tone down of the day.
Yeah, maybe.
You can see why.
Yeah, I do get that.
I mean, it's effort. People have to make more effort to encourage us to do things, to bring us out of our isolation. But the amount of effort it takes for us to do the most basic of thing, like to go for lunch with a friend, I don't think anybody would ever understand the effort that takes.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to say, no, not today.
Yeah.
And we do have to dig deep some days. We do have to think, no, I'm getting dressed up, I'm putting some makeup on, I'm going to make an effort and do my hair, and I'm going. And then just getting there is hard enough, but staying there as well and making conversation, you have to dig even deeper.
Yeah.
Instead of thinking, right, what time did I get here? What's the most earliest time I could possibly leave?
Yeah. I mean, Simon and I are going to Ruben's Retreat, which is a charity that supports bereaved parents. We're going for the weekend next weekend. And in my head, I'm even trying to find out ways to get out of that. And we're going there to be supported as bereaved parents. But my brain's still even like, oh, I'm going to go and have a nice weekend away. And, you know, I still feel guilty about it. And I still feel like I don't want to leave my house. And, you know, it's all too overwhelming and it's all too much. And it's
even
actually
getting your overnight bag ready. You think, oh, I've got to get the bag down. And
it just feels a lot, doesn't it?
It's any slightest thing is an obstacle that you've got to get over.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that when you get there, wherever you want to go and you've made that effort and you've really dug deep and you've gone there, you don't always enjoy it.
No.
You do still look at the clock and think, right, okay, I can go now. Because we're human.
And then when you do enjoy it, like I went to that wedding a couple of weeks ago, beautiful wedding, beautiful venue, really lovely day. And every single guest, it was a really small, intimate wedding, and most of the family knew, you know, us and our situation. And super grateful because everybody really made the effort to remember Bradley and to have those conversations and to be really mindful with me, which was really, really nice. But without sounding ungrateful on another level, made me so conscious that I was also sort of highlighted in a way of who I was when I was there. Everybody was really conscious of who I was. And as much as everybody made a really nice effort, that felt like an effort on their part too. So then that kind of made me feel like, okay, can we stop talking about it now?
But can you imagine if they didn't?
No, exactly. That's what I'm saying. People can't win.
No, people
can't win. And do you know what? I'd much rather it was the way that it went because it was lovely and it was beautiful.
I was going to say that as much as...
Yeah, and I'm not meaning to sound ungrateful at all. It was just a situation I just wish I wasn't in.
Yeah.
But then I had a really lovely time and was dancing, and then it becomes a point where you start thinking, I'm having a really lovely time and I'm dancing and this is really wrong. And, you know, I'm here with my family, but not Bradley. And it's then really hard to not sit down and want to think, done now, can't cope with this anymore. But the reality is that I was having a nice time and I'm allowed to have a nice time. And having that nice time was perfectly fine. And that we needed to stay and continue having that nice time for everybody. It wasn't, but it was very, very difficult to do because you just get caught up in this, argument in your mind.
But you did it. But
And
did
I
you
loved
do
it.
it? Yeah. Did you do it? You stayed a lot longer than you had intended on staying, but
Yeah.
that was because Zachary had probably had just that little bit too much to drink, and you had to make sure he was okay.
The mum in me couldn't leave.
So if Zachary hadn't have been like that, would you have gone home earlier? Yeah.
Yeah.
You was up to your limit of coping, tolerating.
But
everything.
Actually, it was no worse for staying. I had a lovely time, you know. It didn't make it any worse because I stayed. It was just as lovely.
Yeah.
So actually what I've learned is that, I don't need to go home when I have those thoughts because it doesn't get any worse. Those thoughts are there regardless of whether I go home early or not. So I might as well just stay and enjoy it and learn to.
Probably worse if you went home because then you'd feel
guilty because
in
I left.
yourself.
Yeah. That's what
Why
I mean. There's
didn't
no
I
winning,
just
is
stay
there?
that bit longer? And you can't win.
Yeah. But it was a truly lovely day and I'm so pleased I went. And I said to you, didn't I, that it all went really well. And there was a part of me that was a little bit worried beforehand because obviously the whole day. But no, it was...
There was a big part. There was a lot of things you was worried about beforehand. And rightly so. It was the first big family event, really, that you'd been to without Bradley. So,
and he was very much made a part of the day, which was lovely. And that just made it really nice and really easy, you know? It was just nice that everybody recognised that.
Yeah.
But that's just, just highlighting that we say this about other people, but there's no winning either, is there?
You also don't want to take over something like that. You think, right, it's not about Bradley, it's about the bride and the groom. And
exactly.
You think, right, okay, enough now. I don't want to have the limelight.
Exactly. Yeah. You start feeling guilty for that reason.
Yeah.
And then you feel guilty because you said that your son isn't. It's a whole mind fuck that just goes round. It's like,
vicious circle.
You can just imagine the whole train of thoughts I had. I'm over analysing everything as well, can't you?
Yeah.
But no, it was good.
But it's done, and you can have your weekend away. Is it this weekend you're going on next?
Not this weekend, next weekend.
Right.
And that's what I mean already. I'm trying to think how I can get out of it. And I've only just signed up for it.
You'll go. You'll do it.
Oh, it'll be fine. I mean, the purpose of it is to support bereaved parents. So it's going to be fine. But
will there be other parents there or is it just you in the apartment?
I don't know. I think it's just us in the apartment over the weekend. On the Friday, there's like a wellness day, support day. Right. So I think there'll be other people there potentially then. But the Saturday and Sunday, I think it'll just be us, to be honest. So it'll be nice.
That'll be lovely. Something different.
Yeah, and it'll be nice for me and Simon to have some time on our own, away from the kids, away from the dog, away from the stresses of everything here. And I think we need just that separate space, just the two of us away from everything, because we don't get that opportunity very often because our life doesn't lend that to itself.
I don't think I've ever known you to have that opportunity.
No. So I think that will be nice, and hopefully it will just be more opportunities to talk. Because like I said last week, we spoke a bit more openly because that's not Simon's thing, but that's really helped me. So hopefully that will give us more space to talk.
Hopefully now he's started the ball rolling in doing that. It can, this weekend might encourage him to do that a little bit more.
Yeah, hopefully.
And is he having therapy there? Is he having any sessions of any sort?
Not there on that weekend when we're there, but he has signed up for therapy through them. But it's an online therapy that he will just meet with a counsellor online once a week. So when he starts that, I think that will help. Well, I hope so. Yeah. Although I found a lot with my therapy, but then this is just me.
Yeah, but he's not like you. He's not you. That's what I mean. He's not over analytical. He's not going to start arguing with a therapist. And second guessing and just saying, I know why you're asking me that, because you're going to see if I react such a way or such a way, like we've said that.
And it throws up things that I hadn't thought about that then gives me new things to go, let's overanalyze this and let's get hyper-focused on this. And, and then I start, it's like sometimes no one needed to mention that to me because, if you don't tell me, I can't run away with it. So
Yeah.
yeah,
It's like if you give me too many jobs to do, I think, right, I'll get her back here. I'll give her something to think about. And I text you over, just put things out. Just think, right,
yeah,
give her this to think that she'll leave me alone for a week.
yeah.
Good. So we've had an idea. Well, we have thousands of ideas a day, but we've had an
Literally,
idea that we're putting into place, and we're almost ready, aren't we?
yeah,
This is what we thought is a monthly Zoom meeting.
yeah,
So people can join us.
yeah,
We've always said, let's navigate this journey together. So let's
yeah.
do it.
Yeah, there's so many people that we speak to, in our inboxes that we hope we help. We think we help. And I
And
just
they
think
help
that
us.
exactly. And I just think
Yes.
if we could link everybody up together, there's no expectation to speak or to put cameras on or anything like that. It would just be a safe space, that you don't have to leave your house, so there's no excuses needed. You don't have to get dressed, so you can still be in your pajamas. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
I don't care if you sit in your bed, because chances are I'll be in mine. And then we can all just chat about whatever anybody is struggling with, or stories that people want to share. If you want to sit and tell us all about how amazing your person is, do it. We'd love to hear it.
Yeah.
And we'll tell you all about Bradley and Emily. And it's not just for parents that's lost children, I don't think.
No, not at all.
I think it's for anybody who's lost anybody, because grief is a universal experience, regardless. So yeah, we just hope that people will be interested in doing that and just finding some safe space to recognise
I think what we'd
each
have to
other's
do
loss.
is, so we don't all talk over each other, and we don't all sort of think of a weekly a monthly topic.
Yeah.
And we will 100%. We will not stick to that topic, but it will give us something to think about beforehand, before we come on. And so anybody that does want to speak gets a chance. And then it's not, I'm going to be blunt here, it's not all about you, Bec.
Yeah, no, I know. I was just thinking that we might have to mute me.
Yeah, we'll mute you. In fact, we'll have a universal signal between all of us for you to shut up.
Yeah, we'll mute me, and we'll give Karen. Well, no, we'll give Karen a delegation's job of, you can just. Yeah, I go to a bereaved parents group locally. Sadly, there's a lot of people that turn up. There's about 40 or 50 of us, which is really sad, because we live in a really small town. Like, we don't live in a big place at all. And what they have is they have a ball, and you can't talk unless you've got the ball in your hands. Obviously, that's not going to work on Zoom, but we need to think of some way of being able to, identify, so that, like you say, people don't talk over each other. But that's semantics that we'll sort out on the Zoom meeting when we're there. But
yeah.
We just hope, and you don't have to talk at all. If nobody wants to talk,
just join in by listening. And
if nobody wants to talk, me and Karen can talk for everybody. So
I find it difficult when I go to those type of things, when we sit around the table at Reuben's. I have to physically stop myself from talking.
I can imagine,
because once I start, I can't stop.
See, I don't talk. I go to those things and say very little.
Really?
Yeah, say very little. Yeah.
Wow, that's absolutely.
I probably speak the least in the room. I share the least.
Well, I'm quite conscious of being quite gobby, so I do try, and I always wait, and I hold back, and then think, oh, nobody say anything, nobody say that. Right, okay, I'll say something. So I do physically make myself do that. So, but these Zoom meetings are not about me, and we know they're not about us. They're just there for other people to join us and talk. Like we talk. It's not going to be recorded. It's not going out anywhere. It is just private Zoom chats.
So we'll put some stuff on our stories on our page coming up about what days and times work best for everybody, because I'm just conscious that a lot of our listeners are all over the world. So we need to find a day and a time that kind of can fit with
We have
most
so
time
many
zones.
listeners from America and
Australia.
Probably controversial, this that I'm going to say. I do think America is a little bit further ahead in dealing with grief than us.
Do you think?
Would you
Maybe.
agree with that?
Maybe. I think they just have more resources available to them. I think, I don't know, I feel like as grievers, they're open to it more. I feel like as a grieving society, us Brits are that unusual stoic, let's pretend nothing's happening.
Yeah. That's what I mean. They are more open. And if we go back to all the things that we're doing in the grief education and the training videos we've been working on, and the way the American kids deal with it,
yeah,
it is so different.
Yeah,
If you refer to the grief camps that we've looked at.
I was going to say, they have all their grief camps, which will, are actively attended with wait lists and things. I just don't, thinking of my own children, there's no way they'd do it.
No. But why?
I don't know. It's just a bit more of a British culture, isn't it? It's weird.
Yeah. I'm not trying to change everybody, so we need to do it the American way. I'm just saying that we have things
it's interesting.
We can learn from the American way.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Did I ever tell you that Emily had an American accent for about 3 years?
No. Why?
Yeah.
TV.
Yeah, too much TV. Her first accent she started off in life was from her granddad Adrian, because he was from Poole, and she had a southern accent. My sister-in-law said, you do know that Emily's got a southern accent, don't you? And I went, I've not noticed. And she said, I'm going up for a bath, and and where's my book? And it's a book. And it's like, yeah, she did. She had a southern accent, and then all of a sudden this American one came in. And so
Bradley did for a while, but I think it was just because he was influenced. Actually, he loved the Wiggles, and they're Australian, I think.
Oh God, the Wiggles!
He
were
loved
awful.
the Wiggles.
Oh, I hated the Wiggles.
Oh, he loved them. But yeah, he did. And my kids still call it. All of my kids call it a gas station. And yeah, this morning I took Morgan to work, and she said to me, "Did Sydney tell you what happened in her neighbourhood?" And I was like, "Where?" She was like, the bungalow around the corner from her. And I was like, "Oh, that's now a neighbourhood, is it?" So the kids between them have been referring to it as it's just a street to me, on her estate. But the kids are just referring to it as, neighbourhood. Yeah, they talk about the trash. Bradley used to say the trash. Bradley always said a gas station. Are we going to the gas? They call it the highway. They don't call it the motorway.
Really? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, all of my kids still, they're very Americanized in some of the language that they use. And I'm like, Bradley always used to call it a diaper.
Really?
Instead of nappies. Yeah. But he was that bit younger, so I think it was just he grew up more of a YouTube kind of era, whereas the others, Sydney, and we still had videos that you put in a video player when I had Sydney. We didn't even have DVDs. I mean, things were a bit different. When I had Sydney, we had to wait for 6 o'clock in the morning for the kids' programs to come on telly, and they'd finish, they'd go off at 9 and didn't come back on again till 3.
Oh.
We didn't have kids' channels that were available all day long when I had Sydney. So, they couldn't sit and watch telly and stuff.
Oh, now I used to watch Fireman Sam on just constantly. He knew everything there was to know about fires. Used to bore everybody to death.
But yeah, funny, isn't it, how they pick up all these.
Yeah. How did we get to that? Oh, we're talking about America.
No idea. Nothing to do with grief, is it?
This is what's going to happen on the Zoom call, isn't it? Right? Yeah. We're going to start off talking about grief.
We're going to share food recipes.
I'm just going to say, what did you have for your tea? Got the recipe for that.
Yeah.
But that's nice, because that means everyday life carries on as well.
Yeah.
We've all lost somebody, but we can still talk about other things. We can still swap recipes or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to starting that. And we'll behave, we'll sit back and we'll encourage other people. Chat if you want, if you don't.
It'll be like they're all taking part in a podcast without being recorded. It's like we can all just
it's more private.
sit like we
don't
do.
Need to be nervous, because as soon as you start talking, your nerves just go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it would be so nice to speak to all the people that we've been messaging.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So we need to work that out because we've got some really nice ladies from Australia.
Yeah, that's what I mean. We're going to have to
Yeah.
find a time that works for all time zones.
Yeah. We're going to be doing about 5 a month, aren't we, with all different time zones. Don't want anybody left out. I hate that. I hate people being left out.
Yeah.
It's one of my big problems that I used to.
And we all know that I'm deaf, so I need subtitles for anybody with a remote accent. Because
we can't take you into consideration as well.
No, I know. Freaking selfish, aren't I?
Yeah. Stop playing the deaf card. You don't get any sympathy here. You're grieving. You get your sympathy for that. That's enough now. Don't be greedy.
Yeah. God, some people, it's never enough, is it?
No, it's all about you.
I know.
Yeah, so what can people register an interest and we can take it from there?
Yeah.
And then we'll know sort of figure-wise and how many, because I don't want like too many people on, because then people won't get say, we've got to find where we're at.
Well, if we're doing
it
with topics, there'll be some topics that some people will find relevant and others won't. So,
yeah,
you don't have to attend every one. You dip in and you dip out.
Yeah.
And hopefully it will give people an opportunity to make friends with other like-minded people that understand as well. Hopefully you'll find other people like us that you can talk to. And, as we say, our inbox is always open. We always try and message people back. We don't always find all of the messages because some of them go into folders, but when we do find them, we certainly do message back.
We had a message today that I haven't even seen, and I check every day.
Yeah.
And it's just, but I'm not very technical, am I? So,
no, that's about it from me.
I'm getting on a plane tomorrow, going for a little bit of sunshine.
Oh, nice. Send some back here. I think we're supposed to have nice weather next week. And then we're heading into Easter.
So we can talk about them. It's an anniversary.
Yeah. And people will remember.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Easter for me was just, I used to love school holidays, and because you don't have that pressure of getting them up and dressed in the morning and getting them out at a certain time, you could just ease off and chill out a little bit.
This Easter is my brother's 50th, so I'm just very aware that there'll be lots of family things going on that, obviously Bradley will be missing from.
Yeah,
so.
That's difficult.
Yeah.
Go back to the wedding, your first thing as a family, and he's missing. It's the family thing that I find the most difficult.
Yeah, so it'll be nice. I'm really looking forward to it. We always, and Bradley loved family get-togethers, and so for that reason we will all enjoy it because we'll do it in honour of him. But there's still that pain, isn't there?
Of course there is, yeah.
So that's coming up. And also for me, Easter is also anniversary of when my mum's fiancé died. So that's kind of, it's a bit of an awkward date too, because I always remember that Jim died around then. And Jim died from an accident, and Jim had his accident on the day of the funeral of one of my very good friends. So I always remember her because of the link to his accident, and I remember the fact that she died, and her daughter is actually due to have a baby in another couple of weeks. She's Sydney's best friend. So, that's all of that. I'm very well aware that, Sydney's friend's going to have a baby and that her mum's not here and how that must feel for her. I know how I feel just knowing that Louise isn't here, So just very conscious of all of that. Happy times is all mixed in with a lot of sort of sad moments.
There's always going to be that. There's one good thing about that I have a capability with, and that's with dates. I've just been in there, just come from the office now, and I've just said to Lynn, we was looking on the holiday board, and I was changing some of my holidays, and I said, we might have to shut that day, so because you're off and I obviously can't be here. And she looked at me and said, with it being Emily's anniversary, she said, I didn't know I'd booked Emily's actual anniversary date. I said, yeah, you have. And she went, I haven't. And I'd got the date wrong.
Fucking hell. What day did you think it was?
20th of June.
Oh.
I know. I know that now because Lynn told me. Honestly,
The fact that it's 2 days before your birthday.
Oh, I don't celebrate my birthday anymore. What's the point in
Well,
that?
I know, but you still know when your birthday is.
Not all the time. I don't know how old I am. I have to work it out. Just old. I don't need to know. But like Lynn was just saying, she went, so she gave me a hug. She said, it's all right that you forgot. It don't matter what. I know. I'm not bothered about that. I know it's in my body will tell me when it is. I don't need a date. My body will tell me. My heart will tell me.
Oh, now I remember everything.
Don't remember dates. Don't be worried about it. You think, we're already under so much pressure. So we think, I'm not putting myself under any more pressure because I don't know the exact date of things.
No, I'm well aware that Tuesday.
I know it's Friday.
No, I'm well aware that Tuesday coming up marks 2 months until Bradley's 2nd year anniversary.
Oh, for God's sake, you see.
Yeah, don't ask me about dates because my brain frigging knows they're all there.
See, and that's why your brain's like that and mine's like this. I just go through life half the time thinking, it's a nice day today. It's sunny. I don't need to know the date.
No.
Or what it refers to. See how different we are. Because Lynn said, like she was trying to make me feel better that, thinking I felt guilty that I didn't know the date. And I went, she said, is it a new thing? No. Because I remember years and years ago when Emily was a baby. Emily and Elena were babies, and Niall and Sophia were, I'd say, 4, something like that. And we'd gone to Portugal. And the first thing that Joanne did, my friend, was book the kids into kids club. I'm like, don't know whether Niall will want to go. Well, I booked him in. So, because Sophia's going, I'm having a break. And went, right, okay. So, and I remember she'd got there before me, was in separate apartments, and she texted me, I've just dropped Sophia. You will need Niall's date of birth when you get there. You shouldn't have to tell a mum. A mum should know when a child's date of birth is. So I wrote it on my hand. And by the time I got to the kids' club, because it was hot and everything was sweating, I couldn't read me writing on my hand. It's like, I'm useless. And that's when we had and you used to go to the kids' mums and tots.
Yeah.
And then we went in one day and said, it's Niall's birthday today, isn't it? Hello, birthday boy. I'm thinking, shit, it's not. What are they talking about? And then my friend Joanne looked at me, she went, did you put his date of birth wrong on the form? And I went, oh, God. So he had to sit there and they all sang happy birthday to me. He was so confused. So the week after, when it was his birthday, we couldn't go. So, yeah, I'm not going to change. I don't do dates. And I do think it helps. It does help.
I can imagine. Because, this is a source of, me being hyper aware of everything isn't brilliant. And, it's just another reason to ruminate on shit, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And because I don't know dates, it doesn't mean to say I love Emily any less.
No, it doesn't, no.
Or it doesn't mean to say I care about other people that are going through things for different dates. It doesn't. But perhaps it helps me cope.
Yeah, maybe.
So tomorrow, jetting off, I'm going for a holiday, a break.
Nice.
First time ever. I've said I'm not going to do painting. I'm not going to do this, that, or the other. I'm going to have a break. I'm already changing my mind. But
I was going to say, I'll text you tomorrow and I'll see whether you've been to the hardware store and how much paint you've bought.
Oh, yeah, well, I've got a list for the hardware store, so I need to just go to that because I do like the store. Last time I went in, our friend told us, Nigel and Kim told us about this store, and they said, they sell everything. And I went in, I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing, this shop. It's a fucking hardware shop. How can you get excited about an hardware shop?
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Strips of plastic and I can use that for that. And I went to the till and I tried my Spanish out and I said, I did a bit of Spanish and everything. And then I went, I like this shop. And he said, thank you. He said, you'll come back again. I said, I'll bring a list. And he said, and will it be a big list? I went, oh yes, it'll be a big list. Thank you. And I thought, she's mental.
Yeah, he did. He really did.
Yeah. They probably got me on CCTV and they all have a laugh every day on the dinner break. Look at
The
this
crazy woman.
English woman.
Yeah.
Instead of doing 8 hours of painting, I'm just going to do little things as and when.
Nice. Yeah. Go for nice walks and just
Yeah.
relax.
Not too hot. It's not hot enough to swim, so the pool will be freezing. But yeah,
nice.
It is nice, pleasant weather, and that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to vow on here now, I'm not going to eat like a pig. I'm going to, when I come back, I'm going to be either maintain or I might even lose a couple of pounds.
You don't eat enough as it is. You need to start eating, not stop eating.
I do eat plenty. Right, so let's go forward. We've got a Friday, nearly the sun's shining. It's picking windy, but it's shining and we've got through another week.
Exactly.
And we can start Monday and we'll get through another one.
Exactly. Will you have a lovely time?
I will do. I'll post some pictures of my walks and I'll try and do them on our community. I'll put them on Instagram and our Facebook page.
Yeah, that'd be good.
It's not to rub it in, it's just to show that I'm not painting.
Yeah.
It's to give me photographic proof that I'm not just in my overalls painting.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Cool. So in the meantime, grab yourself a cuppa.
Find a comfortable spot.
And we'll journey through grief together.
We will do.
Thanks for listening.
See you. Bye.